Welcome to The Manly Catholic. In this podcast, we will inspire, challenge, and equip all men to become the men they were created to be. Join us as we journey together to become the best versions of ourselves and strive to change our communities one man at a time. So do you mind if I dive in a little bit deeper? So when you say the trades, just for people out there who like, what does that mean exactly? So like, what do you guys teach at the academy?
So there's a literal answer, which I think, which I'll go into, and then there's the cheeky answer, which I actually think is nonetheless helpful, even for what we're trying to do. So skilled trades, let's define that as work that is proximate. So it's something that requires me to be present to the thing. Mm-hmm. You can't unplug a toilet over Zoom, right?
It's true.
You could try, right?
Good luck.
Okay, but it requires physical proximity, mm-hmm. and we'll even say it requires manual genius, right? So somehow my body is closely related to the work. That means I have to be proximate to the thing, but it's also skilled. So it's not simply like I can peel potatoes all day or mm-hmm. whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would call that a skilled trade. It's certainly proximate, involves my body, but it involves skill. Now I'll take that as the occasion to sort of flip over into the cheeky answer. One of the things we do with our guys is we take them through this little thing I call the etymology game. And what we do is we look at this phrase, skilled tradesman, and we say, okay, well, let's unpack it, etymologically speaking. So we'll start with man, right? Man just means a human person in English. Okay. It's inclusive, by the way. It doesn't mean just males. Don't get me started on that.
It's a longer podcast.
All right, yeah. Well, this is the Manly Catholic. Well, heck yeah.
That's right.
Dude, man. Okay. But it does mean it is an inclusive term, right? Man. Okay. That also means male. If anything, we don't get our own word. That's right. We don't get our own word. Women get women and man. They're the women. No, we just get men.
Luckies.
Look. Oh, okay. I'm getting in trouble already. All right. So then there's the question, trade. The word trade comes from an Old English word, trade. But we think of it as having an economic meaning, like we trade goods.
Right.
Or this is your trade, like this is your way. But that's actually a late meaning of the word. It comes from the same root which we get our word tread, right? So the tread of your foot.
Oh,
okay,
interesting.
And that is actually derived from like a path you walk, mm-hmm. right? So your tread is like this path that you walk, this way that you walk, and then it gets extended into what's your way of life, and then it gets extended to how do you make your money, and then it gets extended to like economic exchange. You see the idea? Mm-hmm. But way back, it just means a way.
Right.
Okay, it means a way of life. And skill is interesting too. Skill is an Old Norse word, and it means like discernment, or you might say the ability to know where things go, or maybe a more elegant way of putting that is to say it's knowing how to put things in order. Oh, so one way you can define skilled tradesman is a man whose way of life is to put things in order. And I think that a man whose way of life is to put physical things in order, because we are incarnate creatures, will have a certain way of seeing and understanding the world that will be applicable to, you might say, the spiritual intellectual side of his life. So there we get back to that sort of idiom we talked about before. It's like, a man who lives mostly in his head, that's not necessarily a bad thing. A man who lives in ideas or in contemplation, sure. These are all important things. But we're not ghosts and machines. We're not angels flying around. We're human persons. We're body-soul composites. And there is a type of language. Creation itself is a language. And it is something that can be read. And it can be, you can not only speak this language of creation, understand this language of creation, but you can be a poet in this language of creation. And that's poesis simply means making, right? And so to make things is you might say is to be a poet of creation. There is an order of things. You can elevate these things. You can build them. You can make them. You can fix them. You can maintain them. And a man who has experience and skill and a talent for engaging in that language, engaging in the language of creation and physical creation, he's going to see and understand, and he's going to have opportunities to understand things about reality that might not be as readily knowable or discernible to someone who maybe doesn't have that skill. And this is why I think, and we've really walked away from so much of what I've just said in our understanding and our practice and our culture. And I think that, so when we talk about the skilled trades, it's like, yeah, I mean, we're gonna learn to sweat copper or whatever, we're gonna learn to fix the machine, we're gonna learn to weld, okay, but and it's not just like, oh, isn't that a nice thing for some of the boys to do? Because we need that too. You know what? I'm sorry. It's late and I'm getting a little cranky now. But I once had a high school guidance counselor say to me, "I'm so glad you exist because I have some boys that aren't that smart."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I'm so tired, man. I'm not just tired. And you know what? Listen, I've given this in talks before too. Like some people are even well-meaning and they're like, "Hey, college isn't for everyone. Trades are just as good," and they mean well.
Yeah,
I get. But even there, it's like, what do you mean just as good?
Yeah.
There's this undercurrent.
Right.
Oh, okay.
They're not as intelligent.
Why don't you go here?
Right. Couldn't go to college.
The guys that we have here, in all the years that we've had, they're super intelligent.
Oh, man.
Very smart.
You know what? Years ago, I was doing this project. It took us going through my hometown, right? And it's this little tiny, farm town, and one of the guys I was working with, I think he meant it as a compliment, and I grew up just surrounded by all these farms, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Well, how did you grow up here?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, you seem like a pretty educated guy.
You seem like a fellow with a high IQ."
All right. And I said, "Man, have you ever met a farmer? Like,
they know a lot.
They know a lot,
probably more than you
do. And they're connected to natural reality in a deeper way than most people."
Exactly. So, so we talk about the skilled trades. We talk about, we mean both senses here. Mm-hmm. And I think we mean both senses, not because I think it's true and it's an opportunity, but I think there's actually a calling, especially today in our culture, for the revitalization of fatherhood. Mm-hmm. But fatherhood, I think, can only be recovered when we understand this. We take the guys through this idea of that a man, and Father, you were very pivotal in my own thinking on this years ago when you said, man's nature is generative, mm-hmm. and he has a procreative nature and he has a co-creative nature. It's persons that he collaborates in making, mm-hmm. and it's the world he collaborates in making. And if we don't understand that that's a whole language, there's a whole idiom there, there's a whole poetry, you could say, there to form minds and to form persons, boy, we're going to be missing some really important things. And we're already seeing it.
Well, important things and the proper formation of young men as well, too. Which is...
Well, you've seen it, right? How starved are they for this?
Oh, yeah, my goodness, yeah.
And I don't mean just like work on my car.
Right. No, it's more than that. It's the brotherhood and the fraternity that this academy allows these young men to enter into with the opportunity of community, of prayer work and study. It's what they're looking for. They may have an idea of what this place is, but by the time they're fully integrated into Harmel formation and everything that we offer them here, 2-3 months in, oh yeah, I've had many guys come up to me 2-3 months in and say, "This is unbelievable. I didn't know this is what you guys did here. I love it here. This is what I'm looking for." I've had a couple guys say, "I don't ever want to leave." And I was like, "Well, you're probably going to have to leave in 2 or 3 years."
And
but
love you guys. Where's the camera? Love you guys.
No, but it's so true.
You know who you are.
It's so true. And one of the things that attracted me to to Harmel was what was the ability of what I think the Holy Spirit has called us together to do, right? And bringing everything in together into integration and focusing on the whole man.
Yeah.
Was the ability for us to help the guys have a rite of passage into a deeper masculinity that they never knew they could.
Correct.
And that's exactly what Satan wants to do with all these young men is to keep them down, right? Is to keep them immature, is to keep them into that boyhood state.
Yeah.
Not allow them to have an opportunity to maximize the potential that God has given them into the fullness and strength of their masculinity, right? So that they can enter into that husbandry, into that fatherhood, that they can be the priest that God has called them to be, whether they're going to enter into the great vocation of marriage or the priesthood. And that's what makes, I believe, this place such a wonderful, unique place, opportunity for these young men to come here and experience this. Yeah. It's so needed. Yeah. We teach them the trades, but when they leave here, they have a deeper understanding of who they are and connected to the real master. Yeah. Right, Jesus Christ. They're connected to Him, and they come out. Sorry, they just come out. I'm just so excited about this, right? I mean. They come out with confidence. They come out with a deeper knowledge of who they are, right, and the potential that they have, and their ability to go out into the world and create that brotherhood and fraternity that we've taught them here. Yes, and that's another wonderful thing about Harmel is that they're taking it into the world.
Yes,
they're taking it into the world. Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's being generative, either in procreation or in co-creation. There's a sense in which you're called to die. Yeah. There's this future that needs to be realized, and I don't think people want that. The thing is about dying is it really stinks.
Right. That grain of wheat has to fall to the ground and die, right?
Right. And
to produce fruit.
But I think that's right. I certainly hope that's the case for these guys that come here. I certainly hope it remains to be the case. I hope more and more come, because I really I've seen the same thing. I've seen boys become men, mm-hmm. and it's something to see. John Paul II makes this important distinction that I try to emphasize a lot between the subjective and the objective nature of work. So the work is the stuff getting done, but the subjective nature of work is what is happening in the man as he works. So we'll tell the guys, I'll use the example of a mason. I'll say, okay, so let's say you have a mason building a wall. And I says, so what's he building? And they're like, well, he's building the wall. I'm like, no, that's not what he's building. He's building a mason. That's what he's building. He's building a man. What do you mean? Because, and I said, well, think about it. What's the rating of this podcast? Is it like, are there kids listening? Were there little kids listening? If there are little kids listening to this, I'm going to use a word that's a little bit shop word. Okay, so I'm going to 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Earmuffs.
Earmuffs. If he builds a shitty wall,
you're gonna.
He's a wall builder.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what he's building, and John Paul insists on saying like the subjective nature of work is primary. That's the primary purpose of work. It's not the good that it brings into the world or the service or any of that. As important as it is, and it certainly is important, but the primary value of work is that a man does it and that he gets to participate in his own making.
So you're saying the act of working is sanctifying the man.
Well, it is, but it's also making him in a natural sense too. Yeah. By virtue, John Paul's point is that by virtue of it being an act of man, a man's act self-actualizes a man, right? We are what we do, mm-hmm. right? And we become what we do. And so on a natural level, there is a self-actualization. But on a supernatural level, he also teaches that because every step Christ took on earth was a step to the cross, then every step he took is sanctified.
Yeah.
And for 30 years it went through a workshop in Nazareth.
Yeah.
And so work is sanctified. So it's not simply self-actualization, but it's also sanctification.
Yep.
Man, that's a big deal. And listen, this is not to poo-poo. Like, yeah, I need to, I told a fella on a different show recently, it's about the profit motive. Like, listen, I'm not against profit. Yep, great. I just call profit. It's like, it's just. I said something like, I'm for profit in the same way I'm for gravity. Those are just the physics of how it works.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, if I don't make a profit and I'm in business, I go out of business.
Right.
But I'm not doing it for the profit any more than I'm playing basketball for the gravity. Mm-hmm. There's this other thing. And that vision of work as self-actualization and sanctification, boy, I think that is the compost out of which some sort of adventuresome imagination can be grown in a young man. And I think, that's different than paying off my, the boat I can't afford. That's way different.
So you say then, and Father Dom, you can jump in on this too, the purpose of work then, besides the obvious objective reality of contributing to society in a better way, the purpose of work is then to sanctify the man or the woman. And that comes in many ways, shapes, and forms. So obviously at Harmel, it's through the trades, but it can mean anything. It could be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
That's her work.
Yeah, for sure.
That's her purpose. Right? And it's not the objective, which as JP2 said is important, but it's not the most important. It's the subjective.
Yeah,
because then it's...
Yeah, I think it's important. We have to be careful about creating like polarities here.
Sure.
Because it's not like, yeah, but the thing I'm really doing... No, you're really doing both.
Yeah.
But there is a type of hierarchy between them.
Right.
Or priority between the two. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's right. And I think when you emphasize one over the other is where you start to run into problems. Mm-hmm. What I mean is when you emphasize one to the exclusion of the other, I'll put it that way.
Right.
Where you start to come into problems.
Right.
Yeah, it's mm-hmm.
So then how do you explain this language, this reality, this idea, a fact really, to someone who's flipping burgers all day?
Right. Well,
or
it does lead to conversations. Or it does open up conversations that can be uncomfortable.
Yeah, outhouses, or it's
mm-hmm.
I mean, this is work.
And putting numbers into the spreadsheet, and that's what they do all day. Mm-hmm. The monotony of it.
Yeah. Yep. Right. How do you do that? Right. It does open up certain questions about types of work, mm-hmm. and it's very difficult. They're very difficult conversations because it's so easily to sort of slide off into caricatures of certain ideologies. Mm-hmm. So for example, if I were to say like, is fast food is that the best way? Do you know what I mean? Oh, well, hold on. That's just how it works. And how dare you? Okay, listen, I love a quarter pounder. I'm telling you, I'm
bacon cheeseburger.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Okay, so I'm not getting on that, and I understand how economics work. Okay, but it also does. But some things are good, but are they the best, or are they better, or can they be made better? Right. So I'm not even gonna try to do that in the abstract. But then there are certain things that, like sometimes you gotta clean the toilet. Mm-hmm. Okay. I tell the story to our guys when they come here. So around the corner there is the shop, John. And I tell the guys that's the second most important room at Harmel. Most important room is the oratory where the Blessed Sacrament is. And the second most important room is the John in the shop. Because the John in the shop will tell you how attentive we're being. Mm. No one can avoid it. Everyone's going to be in there. And if it's, not, reasonably tidy, that means someone walked through it and didn't do anything about it. But I have this very distinct memory. I was about 12. So my dad's shop was on the sort of the other side of the farm. Like you could walk over to it, right? And where the farmhouse was, and the shop was over there. And so when I came home from school, I would, I'd get home, grab something to eat. I put on my greasy shop clothes. I'd go across, and when I was 12, I clean. So, sweeping and cleaning and trash and John. And then I hated it. And then I'd walk back and I'd shower and, I don't know, eat Cheetos or something. So I did this, and I was in the shower, and I heard on the door.
Oh.
My father had followed me home.
Oh.
He said, "Get out here." No, he said, "Get back out. Put your clothes on. Get back to the shop right now." Oh man. Okay, so I'm half showered. I put all these greasy clothes back on. I walk back across the yard to the shop. I go in the shop, and my dad's waiting there for me. And he says, "Did you clean John?" "Yeah." "Oh yeah." And I cleaned the John. You know what I mean? And listen, like, we've been in a shop, John, right? And like these are a little rough around the edges, some of these guys, and there's a whole lot of smells and expressions of personality.
Expressions.
Okay? Lots of chewing tobacco and this sort of stuff, okay? It is not a nice place to clean. And I kind of just did a quick little wipe down or whatever. But, yeah. And my father grabbed a shop rag off the shelf, and he's like, "What is this?" And it was, around the toilet, and it was messy, okay? And so my father, he owns the company. He gets down on his hands and knees, and he crawls behind the toilet with the shop rag. No gloves, nothing. He just gets down there, and he's like, and he starts scrubbing the floor of unmentionable things, right? And he's getting in everywhere, right? And he's showing me how to clean this John. But he's also not happy that I didn't do it, right? And he stands up, and he puts the rag in my hand, and he said, "I'm going to tell you something my granddad told you. Don't ever do anything half." And he walked out. This is 40 years ago. Like, this is burned in my brain, right? I mean, I remember this like this was yesterday, right? And I have this image of my father on his hands and knees, right, scrubbing this John. So tell me there's not dignity there, because there's a man showing his son how to be a man.
Right.
Right?
That's right.
It's not about just John being clean. It's about what a man is.
Right.
Yeah,
respond to that word, right?
Absolutely, yes. If you're gonna flip burgers, be the best
Yeah.
burger
Man.
flipper.
100%.
Make the best
Be a man.
sandwich, clean the best toilet, dig the best ditch. Whatever you're gonna do, be the best at it. Yeah, be a man, because there's so much virtue to be
there's some
obtained
part
there.
of creation that God isn't there?
Right.
You think
Right.
there's something that he's not holding in existence by his very thought that he somehow carries about? You think that somehow this doesn't matter? Right?
That's why I think everything that we're talking about in your short story that you shared is deeply connected to what St. Paul says, pray without ceasing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And everything that we do, right?
Everything. So, we take the guys through some books here, and one of them is early on we do this book by the Orthodox theologian Father Alexander Schmemann, a book called For the Life of the World. It's brilliant. And he makes this point. He says, listen, and this is really where what John Paul calls the gospel work, I think, needs to start. He says, all of creation was given to feed man. But he means something very particular by this. He means that all of creation bespeaks its creator and is the occasion to know the glory of God and offer God glory and thanks. All of creation is that. That's what it's primarily for. And because it's that, it feeds you. It sustains you.
Yeah.
And the way he describes the original sin in the garden is very interesting. He says, all of creation was given as a gift to mankind. Like, none of it was necessary. But there was that one tree, right, that he didn't give. Okay? And what's interesting is what he notes about what the scripture says. Eve looked at the fruit and saw what? That it was good to eat. Mm-hmm. It wasn't simply disobedience of God that was the sin, right? By Schmemann's reckoning, it was like, oh, see, there were two things. There was the gift of creation known as the occasion to know and thank God, and then secondarily, it feeds you. And what was she choosing to see? She was blinding herself to the first thing and acting that the second thing. She inverts it and gets rid of the primary thing, right? That's the original sin. And there's a sense in which that's all of our original sin all the time. Right. Is we've lost the ability, we've blinded ourselves to see every moment as the occasion of God's presence to know Him, love Him, serve Him, thank Him. That's the original sin. So tell me the burger flipper. Right? You think that there isn't something glorious happening there potentially, like there is. Now, earlier I said I don't want to romanticize things, but I don't think this is romanticizing anything. I think this is actually this is the gospel.
Yes, yeah. Especially here in the lab, our workshop, we bring the guys in here and they can put their hands to things. They can put their hands to material things. They can transform that, right?
Not only
and that's what I like about that co-creative act.
But they elevate.
Yes, they
elevate creation.
They take this thing that has potential, right?
Correct.
And then being that worker through God, right? They can take something and then they can create something with it.
They create something more, and now there's something about God's glory that is now revealed in this thing that wasn't revealed as easily before, but now it has been fashioned in this way, and it speaks this new language. It rhymes this new way, and this is the thing, man. This is the thing I geek out about. And I'm sorry if any of the folks that listen to have heard me say this before, but I really think that there's one thing that we can do at Harmel. If we go away tomorrow, I hope this is one of the things that, other than the men themselves, the thing that lasts is there is no Eucharist without human work.
Amen.
And that's scandalous in a sense. But the story is God gives us the creation. Our base vocation is to be priests, to thank God, to offer creation back to Him. We screwed it up, okay? So when Christ is acting as the high priest, He's fulfilling man's original calling to offer right praise back to the Father on behalf of all creation. He's offering everything back to the Father. But what's remarkable about it is His work on the cross, and again, as a Protestant, there just isn't a way to account for what I'm about to say. But as a Catholic, there it is. Orthodox, there it is. It's what Christ chooses to do to make that effectual to us is it involves our work necessarily. It didn't have to, but because this is how we're going to do it. Now it does. And it's this, is He gives us, the way to understand it is at the altar, it's not grain and grapes that are placed on the altar. It is bread and wine, which is the fruit of the earth and the fruit of the vine and the work of human hands.
Work of human hands.
Okay? So He gives us creation. We elevate creation. We give Him elevated creation back. He takes elevated creation into Himself, right? Makes it His very body, blood, soul, and divinity, which gets offered to the Father, gets it back to us, and it feeds us again. Yeah. Right?
Well, yeah. Super substantial.
And this is the thing, and Schmemann says, listen, when you wake up on Monday morning and you put your feet on the ground to go to work, you are on your way to the altar. Whatever the work is, every step of your work is a step to the Eucharist. It's not this thing that we do on the side because it's a way to pay for piano lessons.
Right.
Right? It's not even this thing that I do because, people got to eat and I got to serve my neighbor. Yes, it is. It's both of those things, but that's not what it is in its fullness.
No, and everything we do, that we're giving glory to the Lord.
And everything gets reanimated. Well, it already was animated with eyes, but the scales fall off our eyes, and we have the ability to say, like, oh, is that what we're doing?
And this is how we can participate in his divine life, his divine majesty.
At every moment.
And so every day is liturgy, work of the people. Yeah.
The whole cosmos is a liturgy.
Yeah.
It was always meant to be that.
Just bringing this back, bringing this simple truth back, change the face of the world. And I believe it starts. I believe in many ways it starts with men. I do. Hence,
I think so.
Why we're here. But yeah, because Adam was given charge to till and keep the garden. In Hebrew, guard, protect, defend, till and keep. Right? I mean, that was the work from the sweat of his brow.
That's right.
Yeah.
He is. We spent a whole semester on this, on various facets of this point. Man is a husband. He is a husbandi.
Yes.
He is a stigward. These all are words that mean keeper, master of the house, of a household, builder of a home. I mean, stretching the definitions a little bit, but when God says, have dominion over the earth, one way you can interpret that is He's saying, turn this into a home. Turn it into a home. For who? Adam and his family? Well, yes, but for God, right? Turn this into a home for me. That's a different thing when suddenly some of our Lord's parables start to make a little more sense. Like, hey, master's coming home. Like, better make sure the driveway's plowed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Right, because he's kind of expecting to live here.
There's truth to that. Yeah, and all the guys that come through Harmel, this is what we're instilling in them to the best of our ability, right? And they leave with this understanding, and I think they leave empowered, right? It's great. It's great that they learn a trade. I love it. It's absolutely
But
true.
you know what's interesting about what you just said? Is everything that you just said is true, and it looks suspiciously like picking up your socks and taking the trash out.
Suspiciously, yes.
Right?
It does.
But I mean, it's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, how about that?
Right.
Wow, taking out the trash, huh?
Right.
Yeah, it's glorious.
Thank you all so much for listening to the episode, and I just want to take a really quick break to thank one of our sponsors, which is Mystic Monk Coffee. Coffee and prayer. It's the perfect blend. Mystic Monk Coffee isn't just another cup of coffee. It's handcrafted by the Carmelite monks of Wyoming, roasted with care and infused with prayer. Whether you are starting your morning or fueling your day, Mystic Monk Coffee offers rich, bold flavors that are as divine as their mission. By choosing Mystic Monk, you're not only enjoying exceptional coffee, you're supporting a community of monks dedicated to prayer and the church. It is coffee with a cause. And here's the best part. As a supporter of the Manly Catholic Podcast, if you join our Buy Me a Coffee page at the $20 or more a month level, we'll send you a bag of Mystic Monk Coffee for free. And yes, we will even pay for the shipping. So what are you waiting for? Visit mysticmonkcoffee.com today and experience the brew that's fueling faith and flavor. Again, that's mysticmonkcoffee.com. It's coffee made for your soul. Now, thank you for listening, and let's dive back into that episode.
Yeah, so everything we do here, right? Up here in a lab, right? We're in the lab. This is where everything happens. Then we have our oratory.
Yeah.
Where everything happens. And we're making this deep connection with these two liturgical functions.
Yeah. It's prayer and work. It is.
And then the community with the brotherhood and fraternity helping each other, the guys helping each other, building that community of prayer, work, and study. It's amazing.
Yeah, we're it's kind of weird, huh? So
yes. Well, you look at the lives of the saints, and this is what they do. They find a need, right? And they fill it. They bring Jesus Christ. They bring His church. They bring the sacraments. They bring into this void, and it's saying, yes, by bringing the light of Christ into this area, we can do something. We can create this transformation. And then that's exactly what happens. I hope that's what we're doing. I know that's what we're doing here.
That's true. There's this. I just read the first couple paragraphs and I put it aside this morning. There's this article today which was published in. I forget the name of the online publication is from Notre Dame, by this von Balthasar scholar named Ann Carpenter, I think. I think she's at St. Louis University. And I like her stuff. I love von Balthasar. I know I'm not supposed to say that in certain circles, but I do. And
You chew on the meat, spit out the bones, right?
oh man,
There's a lot of meat there.
there's so much meat. But I read the first couple paragraphs. Like, oh, I'm going to put this aside and come back to it. And this is very Balthasarian. She points out that Balthasar says, we want to be a little careful about referring to saints as heroes. And I think what he means is, I suppose there's a sense in which that's true. But really what makes a saint is an intimate sharing in what made, if you can put it this way, made Christ Christ, which was a radical availability to the Father. In fact, in one of his books, von Balthasar says, and we pray this in this little prayer that we pray here, where he says, von Balthasar says, the availability of Christ to the will of the Father was the raw material out of which God fashioned the salvation of the world. And I think that's stunningly beautiful. And in this article, the point is that what makes a saint is an availability to God. And then God will take that availability and do heroic things with it.
Mm.
But really, and we make a big deal of this in the first semester with the guys, is that, the goal is that you're not the hero here. This isn't your story. This is our Lord's story. He's the one who creates the world. He's the one who redeems the world. You are his apprentice. And there is, becoming a man is revealed in Christ. There is a form to manhood. There's a form to manhood. And that form, von Balthasar emphasizes, is cruciformity.
Cruciform.
And its availability to God. And so really there's only one thing that a man has to do is he just has to make himself available to God.
Yeah, here I am, Lord.
Yeah.
So if you have to be up here at 7 a.m. in the lab, just be here. Present yourself. Show up. Just show up.
Show up, man.
Show up and lean into it. Take a hit.
Yeah.
Some famous quotes from past students here.
Do you know what he's talking about? I'll let
No.
you explain
No,
it.
go ahead.
Explain it.
So we asked the very first cohort of guys we had here.
First guys through here. What were
6
they nicknamed? The
guys.
Cowboys?
We called them the Cowboys.
Called
'cause
them
they like to punch
Cowboys.
each
That
other.
was 2021? 2020?
2021.
Yeah.
And they were done here in early 22. At the end of the first year, we try to instill upon this idea, like, we're not sure this thing's going to work, right? But if it does, there's only ever going to be one first group of guys. And like whatever trajectory you set the culture on here is probably going to have staying power. So we asked them at the end of the first year, we said, if you could give one piece of advice to every man who follows here, what would that piece of advice be? And so there's 6 of them. I'm not sure if I can do all 6. Let's see. One of them was show up.
Yeah.
Show up. Lean in. Right? So when you do show up, you're not in the whole, no, you're leaning. Be ready to take a hit. Be worthy of trust.
Mm.
Be humble.
Yeah, be humble. That was one.
And that's 5. What's the 5th one? Remember things, maybe. I don't know. No.
Remember things.
This is embarrassing. What was the other one? Sneezy, dopey,
You got 5 of 6, Dave. That's all
yeah,
right.
5 of 6.
That's pretty good.
Be humble, lean in, show up, be worthy of trust, be ready to take a hit, or be willing to take a hit. What am I forgetting? I'll think of the other one. But yeah, but show. I mean, and again, that's sort of like this truism, this platitude. Oh, 90% are showing up, but no, 100% are showing up. You just show up. That's what you do. You show up to God, and easier said than done. But
isn't that the ironic thing too, Dave? I'm sure you can speak of this too with growing up Protestant. It was such an emotional roller coaster, and in your prayer life, especially, I mean, you can speak to this too, having to do the Liturgy of the Hours and everything, is you don't feel like it, quote unquote, every single time, right? Like it's work.
It is,
right?
And
but
you don't always succeed.
Yeah, but you show up, right? You have to show up. That's what you dedicate your life to saying. I will show up every single day and do this. And I think we romanticize work sometimes, where it's just, you're building towards something, but sometimes it sucks. And it's okay to say that and admit that. Like, I'm in a rut. Yeah. I don't like my work right now. I don't enjoy it, but I'm showing up because that's what I'm called to do. And
people are counting on me
counting
to be
on
there
you.
too.
Right.
They're counting on me to be
yes.
there. Yes.
And that, again, goes to the body of Christ, right? Is that it's not all about you. Right, and it goes back to be humble. Was one of the first things guys said to everyone else coming through here is be humble. And it's like, okay, you might not feel like doing it, you might not think it's going to impact you, but it might impact somebody else. And especially for the guys out there who are married, obviously, it's like you have to show up because your family's relying on you. Yeah. You, Father Dom, have to show up because your family is relying on you. You can't just not show up and like, all right, I think I'm just gonna take a 5-month vacation, not tell anyone, and say good luck.
And
you can't
selfish,
do that,
and it would be empty and it would be boring. It would be a boring life if I lived my life for myself. I found that being a priest and sacrificing and being here at Harmel and sacrifices is absolutely extremely rewarding. I don't know what else I'd be doing. I mean, I love the word sacrifice. 2 words, sacra and facere. Sacra, sacrament or sacred or holy. Facere is to build, compose, to make. And then so when we sacrifice, right, we make something holy. And isn't that beautiful? Isn't that fulfilling? Yeah. Isn't that what we're created for? Yeah. I mean, especially as with men. I mean, the hands that we have and the feet and like our legs take us to places, and our hands can do something. Our minds can conceptualize, and then we can create and the way we look and that we hear and smell and taste and touch. It's our physical being as humans are meant to participate in that co-creative act, and obviously the procreative act is like what we're designed to. And so to deny yourself that, or to be raised in a culture that doesn't teach you the truth and you're not formed in that, it's a great travesty. You're stealing something from somebody, and you're not allowing someone to reach their full potential, what it means to be a human being. And that's exactly what Satan wants to do. That's exactly what he wants to do.
Hello, everyone. My name is Father Dominic Katiri with the Manly Catholic Podcast, and I'd like to take a moment with you just to talk about something that's dear to my heart. Harmel Academy of the Trades here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Harmel Academy started in 2018, where I came on board. And now we're entering our 2024-2025 year with just close to 30 guys from all over the country. Harmel Academy of the Trades is a Catholic trade school dedicated towards building these men towards Jesus Christ with prayer, work, and study. It's a 1-year program and a 2-year program where we teach these men not only how to sit at the feet of the Master of Jesus Christ, who is the epitome of what it means to be a man and a worker, but they get to work in a variety of trades. They live together on campus. They work together on campus. They take humanities curriculums together. And if you're interested, please check out our website at harmelacademy.org and discover more about this wonderful academy. And may God bless you.
Yeah, it's the other thing too, I'm always I'm very aware, maybe to a fault sometimes, I suppose, of there's this tension in saying these things and learning these things. And in fact, this is actually a point of conversation with the guys is, so right there, we have said it, we have seen it, we have talked about it, we've done it, we've had this conversation, and well, I'm glad we know those things. And even like in a medium like this, I don't know who's going to watch this, and we're faces on a screen or in their earbuds or whatever, right? We are abstracted, we are not proximate, we are distant, we are remote, and even though the content of what we say, I hope bespeaks something that is true, there's also a sense in which, well, easy enough said. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Because the key is that, years ago, in a former life, I came across this piece of advice that I thought was brilliant. And they said, well, if you're writing a screenplay, don't talk about it. Well, why not? I want to tell you what, don't talk about it. Well, why not? And the advice went something like, the creative impulse you have to tell a story and to do it well, it's hard work to realize. It's hard. It's hard to sit down at the desk every day, plunk it out, get it done, rewrite it. That's hard, okay? But talking about the idea of it with a friend, and even though you're saying, well, I'm trying to get advice, or I'm trying to share it, or I'm trying to workshop it, or whatever it is, right? Okay? That's easy. And there's a similar type of dopamine release. It feels like you're doing it. And you're telling yourself, I'm doing it. I'm engaging in this thing. But you're really not. You're sort of indulging yourself a little bit. And so you just have to be careful about how you speak about certain things, because your mouth's writing a check that your ass got a cat. Right? Okay? And you have to be aware of that. And so even with these guys, it's like, okay, we're going to sit here and we're going to talk about these things. But then you got to go do it.
Yes.
And
yes.
you're going to fall flat on your face.
Yeah.
Be ready for it, right? Because it's not going to, there's parts of conversations like this, fellas, and even in this role that I really struggle with, because one day the good Lord is going to say, well, that was a pretty talk. So why were you such an idiot? And why were you so selfish? And why were you, do you know what I mean? Why didn't you show up?
Yeah.
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 It's
Hey,
dangerous.
obviously we can talk about these truths for sure. But I mean, tomorrow I'm going to have to wake up early. I'm going to have to do my liturgy hours. I'm going to have to pray the mass. I'm going to have to do these meetings and these spiritual direction sessions. Like my day is booked just like your guys' days are. And we can talk about these things. And you're right. Yeah, it does seem good. And it's awesome. We're sitting here doing it, talking about it. But then, yes, we're going to have to do it when we wake up in the morning.
Yeah. But that's what I think what brothers are for, right?
Yes.
The brother's one that shakes you awake. I mean, sometimes literally with guys like,
oh yeah,
you're late,
go wake
get
him up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's late.
But also metaphorically shake you awake that, like, hey man, you can do it. So,
And that's part of our purification and sanctification.
yeah.
Iron sharpens iron, and yeah. I just don't want men to shrink away from a challenge, because I do it enough already. But
Well, I think if you can, I mean, this is something I've thought increasingly about last year or two. I think, I'll tell the staff here too, and I'll tell the guys, and I'm really telling myself this. I say, well, if there's no joy, then you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong if there's no joy. It's not because, well, you should always put on a happy face with all these tough things. It's like, no, but really think, let's go back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, really think about what it is you're doing here. Right? This is why I love lauds. Our guys will pray lauds. I years ago started the habit of praying the older Benedictine office.
I see that, right?
And the thing I love about that form is you're praying the laudatory psalms every morning. Every morning you pray all of the laudatory psalms, and it's almost as if like man's vocation was to wake the world up in joy. And say like, hey, hey, you angels and hey, you angels, like, go be angels.
Ice and
praise
snow.
God, ice. Go be
Bless
ice.
the Lord.
Right? Yeah, bless the Lord by being
Wind
ice.
and chill. Bless the Lord. Fire and heat.
Right.
Bless the Lord.
Because that's what by being that thing, you're giving praise to God. So everyone
And
wake up. It's time.
That's all part of creation too, right? And when we engage in it in the way that you just described, it's like we are working.
Yeah, it's like we're the guy like calling all creation to its work, which is the praise of God by being what it is more perfectly and more perfectly. And so what's being portrayed there is that it's not like, oh, it's time to make the donuts. You're like, dude, like we're making donuts.
Yeah.
Right?
Put some extra sprinkles on it
Right?
and some fudge.
Gosh, I don't want, again, I'm hesitant to over romanticize, but it should be like camp, right? Like, holy cow, we get to do this thing. Like, ice gets to be ice. How awesome is that? Ice is
But it's
awesome.
everything that you've been talking about, and it's just participating in creation.
Participation's an important word, yeah.
But isn't it too like fire and heat, bless the Lord? It's rightly ordered. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Correct. Yeah, everything's according to
And-
natural law. That's a very
And like
good
especially
point.
with men too, it's like, okay, say going back to
Yes.
the flipping burgers. Okay, obviously you don't want to stay there forever, or maybe you do. But whatever the case might be, where you're at in that moment is where God wants you to be. So what you're doing glorifies God. It goes back to, you can talk about Saint Therese too and do the small things, because the majority of our
Small
our
things of
journey
great
to
love.
holiness is going to be the small monotonous things that we, on the surface, we probably hate. A lot of the stuff we do that we have to do, we don't enjoy, but you do it for the glory of God, and you can turn it into that joy that you talked about.
Yes, I think so, but there's something about that still fails to satisfy, and I think it's this. So another part of the thing that we pray here, and we talk about these guys, is being apprentices to Jesus Christ. And the apprentice is like the disciple. He has one job. The job is this. You keep your eyes on your master, and you do what he does. That's it. So part of the working man's prayer here is it starts with, the Lord is working here and now. Let us join him with joy and thanksgiving. So even the burger flipping, it's like, yes, it's monotonous. We can do it for the glory of God. We can tough it out. Yep. Okay. True as far as it goes. I'm not arguing with it. But I think the real trick is more in a type of attentiveness and availability, which is, God, what are you doing right now? What is it you're doing right here and now? Because the Lord's always working. He's always at work. What are you doing right now? And it's about putting asking the Lord to help you get into the right sort of attentiveness where you're continually in the space where you're like, what are you doing now? And what is it you want from me?
That's it. Yeah.
So the monotony is almost like, it's not like muscling it out necessarily, although it can be that, right? That's a practical tool to like sort of learn some of those muscles, I think. But I really think that it's almost, listen, every work is monotonous. You just have to correct for scale. Do you know what I mean?
True.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
every day
Very
I have
true.
emails, right? You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just that the burger flipping, like the scale's just shorter.
Right.
So I'm not sure monotony or grinding it out or difficulty. Yes, there are natural virtues to be practiced and built and habits. Yes. But I really don't think that gets to the core of what is happening even in work like that, because ultimately it's availability that matters. And it's and you have to be attentive, and you have to get in the habit of, at each moment, Lord, what are you doing now? What are we building? What are we doing here? And there's this another thing we take the guys through. There's this really curious phrase in the Gospels. It's very curious in the Latin. I knew this Latin degree would help. Okay, so
All right.
there are moments in the Gospels when Christ is doing something or teaching something. And in Latin, his disciples, at a number of points in the Gospels, the response to him will be, quid faciemus, Domine? Right? Quid faciemus, Domine? And it's often translated as, what are we to make of this?
Yeah.
But you could tweak the translation out of the Latin a little bit and say, what are we to make out of this? Here's this thing, so what is it we're making? Right? So in any situation, you can say like, oh, here's a mess. Bet you we can make something out of it. Or I bet you the Lord's making something out of this. Gosh, what's he making out of this? Quid faciemus, Domine? And I think that a rhythm and the habit of an attentiveness, which is rooted in quid faciemus, Domine. What are we making here? What do you want me to do? Like, because it kind of looks like a show, right? So what are we making here? Because something is being made.
Right.
Okay. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, if you know, like if you've ever, I mean, if you look at my garage, like I like to believe that show's being turned into something,
Walking Quid facciamo? Phelps?
Yeah, right. Well, what are we doing here, buddy? It's the flip side of that is one of my favorite lines in the movie. I was talking to someone about this the other day. I think of this scene every day. Every day of my life, I think of this scene from Office Space. Do you know this movie, Office Space?
Oh yeah.
Where the two Bobs are interviewing all these, and he's like, "What is it you would say you do here?" Every single day of my life, I have that thought. No, what do you say? What do you say you do here? And in a way, that's what we're asking. Like,
We're doing the work of the Lord.
right? Yeah.
We're just being present. We're just showing up.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, you guys are doing great work here.
I love it.
Father Dom talks
I love it.
all the time about it.
I wish I could
How much you're growing, and
be here more. And yeah, I mean,
Father Dom is
It's
a chaplain here, by the way.
Yeah.
Those who don't know.
welding instructor.
Welding instructor,
Welding
yes.
Instructor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Formation
Heck yeah.
director or help with formation.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
I want to be here every day, right?
Yeah. So I'll just maybe this is like we're trying to be available. We're always trying to, I guess, I used to back in my advertising days, I used to tell my teams, I said, when this is done, they're going to think it was all on purpose. And in a way, I think people are going to think this is all on purpose, and it's really not. It's we're just trying to be, I guess, just follow what's next. As my dad would say, you just take her as she comes.
Mm-hmm.
But my hope is that the other day when we had all this new team of mentors, we're building this mentorship program here for guys, where each guy gets his own personal mentor from one of the men from the community.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't hear the other day, was it 15 or 20 guys in here or whatever?
Yeah.
It was just awesome to see all these other hands show up to the work. And my hope is that just more men would join us, because there's just a joyful fraternity in the work too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Young men coming to join us as apprentices, and older men as mentors or teachers, or the more the merrier here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier, the apprentices who are here, right? The guys, the students, a lot of them, have said, "I'm glad I'm here." Right. This is awesome. I love it here. Not everyone, right? I mean, because they're stretched, and some guys don't like to get stretched. When they enter into formation, and the rubber hits the road.
You also meet yourself a little bit too. Sometimes,
It's scary what you find.
But then if they persevere and enter into the community of prayer, work, and study, they can just unlock a part of them that they never knew existed, and it's so rewarding to see that, because they light up. They're filled with so much more confidence, self-confidence.
Yeah.
And but not one of cockiness. It's just, I don't know, one of diving more deeply into the potential of them becoming a saint. It's beautiful. They take the prayer seriously and the spiritual aspect seriously. When they're in the oratory, they're very mature, right? I mean, they know they're in a sacred space. They grow. They really do grow, and I see that in a lot of guys that come here, and also with the older guys too. We're talking about the mentorship program, and how many times have you heard one of these men, right, who are married with kids, and they've been in the workforce, and they've gone through a lot of stuff too, and say, I wish I had this when I was growing up.
Yeah,
that's a very powerful statement that I hear, and it's profound. I wish I had this when I was growing up, and that's encouraging for me. I don't know if it's encouraging for you to hear that, because I feel the Holy Spirit telling me, you're on the right track. You're doing the Lord's work in this area. Super rewarding. Yeah. Again, it's we're satisfying to the best of our ability. an economic reality in our country, which is a trade deficit. What is it? Forecasted out to 2028, where it's going to be the worst.
Oh, man.
What'd you say? For every 5 that are leaving, 3 are coming in.
I think it's 2.
Two are coming in.
Like
Yeah.
that,
So here we're satisfying that to the best of our ability. Teaching these guys a trade. It's very important. Our economy needs that.
Yeah,
100%.
But
the problem isn't access to jobs or training. That's what a lot of people don't realize.
yes, right? Yes, and this is what grinds my gears. Exactly what you're referring to. And also, again, kind of what you were referring to is just this deficit of men not reaching their masculine potential as well.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even that little bit there's something to be said about. Yeah, is there economic need? There certainly is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a worthwhile pursuit? Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
But what we need from the men trying to tackle this, what we need from working men, what we need from the owners and leaders at companies and shops, we need them to live into their fatherhood, right? Well, like Harmel, we need them to see what they do as an extension of their fatherhood, not just that they're doing right by the world and offering goods and services through their creativity, through their entrepreneurial risk and all those things which I applaud, which are great, are important. I can't say enough good about them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go far enough.
No.
You have to have fatherly skin in the game. And
I like that fatherly skin.
You gotta. It's not enough for you to view the people you trade with, the customers you serve,
the employees that you have,
as a contractual relationship. On a natural plane, maybe that suffices, but that's not what we're doing here, man. And they are co-laborers in the vineyard. They are, in a sense, children to you. You got to treat them that way. You got to treat the whole enterprise that way a little bit. You have to, I have a good friend who's a priest who had been a Marine and a tank commander. And he said he received advice in the Marines that he extended throughout his priesthood. What she was told when he was put in command of a squadron or unit or whatever it was. Squadrons are big, right? I don't think it was that important, but whatever, it's Marine-y stuff. He said, you have to treat these men like they're your sons. And he says he really took that to heart as a Marine, but now as a priest. And any priest under his care or any employee that he has, like, these are my children. Yeah. That's what I'm going to be called to. They call me father for a reason. Yeah. And there's a sense in which I think, not just the ministerial priesthood, fatherhood, but there's the working man has to recover his fatherhood. And we're not going to, we should probably train some more guys because we need some more welders. Yes. But holy cow, can you imagine that's the only thing you were interested in as a father?
Yeah, no, we need spiritual fathers.
Yeah.
We need spiritual fathers. That is the Harmel way.
Yep, you got it. So we also make go-karts that shoot paintball guns. So
I need just a little spring. We were talking about donuts earlier, just a couple sprinkles on the top there.
Yeah,
it is actually really cool.
Oh, I'm so excited for it.
The guys
open it up to the public. I'm
just
saying,
we are.
We're looking for some new competitors.
It's intense.
It's Mario Kart in real life.
Ooh, we should have a race.
Build their go-kart. It's a race.
So when is it happening?
On May the 4th, 2000.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Last year was on May the 5th. We called it Cinco de Mario.
Nice.
The Cinco de Mario.
Why is it not May 5th?
Just because that was the day after graduation. And
fair enough.
We done.
They weren't students anymore, and all sorts of liability stuff. It doesn't matter.
No, the liability stuff doesn't matter. It takes the fun out of everything. Liability. Come on.
But no, yeah. But we talk about the joy thing though. That's part of it too, man. It's like we talk about okay, we're not going to do it again, but we put engines that were way too big on those go-karts.
Yeah, we have to
Because
put
it's
some rev
awesome.
limiters on there or
Awesome,
something,
stupid,
or
and
just
dangerous.
limit the CC capacity. Yeah,
So it'll be a little smaller this year. But yeah, these karts have paintball guns mounted on them. And
Yes.
and you shoot them.
Yes.
And whoever does the most laps wins.
Yeah, I think this past year was our inaugural year for this. I think because I was in the middle of the track and I was recording, but I really liked the turn where the truck was, and then we had about 5 guys in the back of the truck, and so their whole goal was just to shoot the heck out of the guys with paintball guns.
But okay, we gotta get a handle on this.
So every cart that
but
came by,
the only one they but they especially targeted the faculty cart. That's the
what?
thing. So this year, my hope is that little mobile lab we're building out there. We're gonna put that in the middle. The stretch goal is to build a platform on top where that people can. We're gonna call it the Tuscan Raider corner.
Yes.
So for a small donorly fee,
you can be a Tuscan Raider,
and we'll put you at a mount, and you can shoot at children driving past.
Sign me up. The Manly Catholic should sponsor this.
I tell you,
all right, let's do it.
We're taking seriously. You guys want to? One of the things that Andy and Kyle said, some fathers and sons want to do this. Some don't have the time to build their own cart. So I think we're. Oh boy, I'm getting myself in trouble. I don't know if they've committed to this yet or not.
Putting it out in the world.
Do is I think we're going to refurbish some old carts.
Yes.
As class projects, and then if fathers and sons want to just buy those and race those.
Yeah.
Then here's what we put into parts.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is.
So May 5th? No, May 4th.
This is the 4th.
In 2025. May the
Star Wars.
4th be so Star Wars themed.
Yep.
Totally.
Yep. This is
totally.
This
is this open to the public?
Last year it wasn't. We still had like 150 people show up.
Oh, it was fantastic.
And like, because we didn't know.
Man.
We didn't know if someone was going to get killed. Well, no.
Word's going to
spread. Someone was going to get killed. But yeah, so this is Andy Beach. He's one of our instructors. He's got some property out east of town, and his neighbor's a farmer, and they built a track and the field. And we had 6 carts last year, something like that. And it was crazy. And this year we're going to do 3 races. We're going to do different classes. We're going to have a single-seater class. We're going to have a double-seater 212cc class, and we're going to have an open class. And that's what Jeff is. I'm not this Jeff, but that Jeff there. Can I get it? Here?
Yeah. Go ahead and grab it. Go ahead and grab it. Yeah. After the races last year, we were like, it was a success because we thought the go-karts would fall apart.
Oh wow! Flash that up on the camera there, Dave, so everyone can see that. Wow.
Oh, and then this is Jeff. This is grandpa.
Yes.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I tell you,
homemade here at the lab.
Yeah, you betcha. So if guys want to come race, man, it's a hoot.
I'm gonna bring my boys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna bring my boys. They'll love that.
It's such a blast.
Yeah, they'll love it.
Bring
your popcorn machine.
Oh, well, so that whole mobile lab we're building out there is going to be a mobile machine shop. That'll be out there.
Oh, yeah.
This is awesome.
I don't know if we're going to be able to do it this year, but we're hoping maybe at some point get some food trucks out there. Maybe
oh, heck yeah.
Get the bishop out there.
Bishop should come racing.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Father Dom, you know him.
Okay, listen.
Do it.
Drew Anderson, who's our director of advancement. I hope you're watching this.
If not, you're going to hear
Drew, I'm going to text you after this is over.
But listen, I'm thinking fundraiser. Like,
ooh,
Bishop.
Why not?
If we raised $250,000, would you race in a go-kart in Mario style? Anyway, so that's awesome.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I told you about when we had our first graduating class. It was at St. Pat's in Parnell, right? And so we had Josiah there, and the bishop knew Josiah. I don't know if he had a blue mohawk. I think he might.
He had a blue mohawk.
He had a blue mohawk,
Yep.
and I'm sitting up in the sanctuary, and we're handing out the awards. Right, it's after mass, and then Josiah comes up, and the bishop, the bishop was sitting next to me and sees Josiah and leans over and to me and he says, "Father Dominic, do you see that guy with the mohawk?" And I go, "Yeah, Bishop, that's Josiah." Did he ever punch you in the face? In fact, Bishop, he actually did. Yes, he did. I think because he knew I taught jiu-jitsu, at least with that class I did.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious, man, the way he said it. It was fantastic. I was like, yes, Bishop. Yes, he did. And he's like, that's good. And that was it. That was the end of the conversation. And I'm thinking to myself, man, do I need to deserve to get punched in
The bishop
face?
said what he said. The bishop said what he said. We're going to leave it at that.
Listen, I would be remiss, man, if I did not. I don't want to sound too,
It was a perfect comment for Harmel. That's all I said. I was like, that is the Harmel way.
I don't want to let it pass at the risk of sounding. However, listen, we wouldn't be here without that man. That guy has been one of our biggest champions.
Oh yeah, when we kicked off, he was here. He was here. He gave us a blessing.
And
he talks about the schools here in the diocese, the Catholic schools. He'll talk about Harmel.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And I would say, like, man, and we get all sorts of people asking for help to do stuff like this in other places, and the first thing we always say is, okay, well, what does your bishop think? Like, start there.
Yeah, he supports us. So
like that answer.
Yeah,
he's been great, man.
God bless him.
So God bless him indeed. But so gosh, what would it take to get him in one of those go-karts?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I just thought about
just to
being there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You were thinking about getting him in a cart?
Get him in a cart.
Oh man.
Listen, I'm just telling you, how many philanthropists in the Diocese of Grand Rapids?
Who do we have to contact at the bishop's office to get this to him?
Gail, probably.
Gail, if you're listening.
Here's a nice middle ground. Races have pace cars. Right? What if he drives the pace car? Or rides?
Would it be a go-kart? Would it be a go-kart?
Heck yeah. Or a
No, I'm thinking, let's go full blown. He's got to be racing.
He's got to race.
He's got to race. I'm thinking,
I think
go big or go home.
Okay, yes. I think it should, for right now.
Yeah?
To get him warmed up and confident, I think it should be the pace car and a golf cart.
Pace car, good. We got that new golf cart out there?
Yeah, we do. That's right. It's out back.
All right. We're going to get
the bishop in the pace.
We're gonna call that. Okay,
I'm talking to Gail tomorrow. I'm calling Gail.
Gonna give it
ideas right now. Ideas
trade school / bishopy name. We're gonna call it the miter saw. You see what I did there? and we can if he would maybe he'd let us paint his crest on the front of it. And if he wants to does he golf? Does the bishop golf?
Oh, he loves golf. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What if we souped up a golf cart for him? Is that what we'd have to do?
Oh.
We'd take the governor off that thing?
Oh.
I totally see why this guy is the idea man right now.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Well, yeah, we'd have to put wheelie bars in the back.
Oh, my goodness. And hydraulic lifts.
Spinners.
Spinners.
Gotta have the spinners.
Who would turn that down? Who would turn that down?
So it's racing in the morning and then golf in the afternoon.
Oh, my. Man, there's so many possibilities here.
I think the bishop would be all over this. We're going to spend all day with the bishop.
You seriously though, if you ask him to attend some things, he seriously considers it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, he was great. Like it was a year or two ago. He came to kids' school's play, and where it's the drama play, and okay, the bishop walks in. Oh, the bishop's here, and hello, Bishop. So glad. I'm very glad to be here. And says, we're just so happy to hear you. He says, yes, I was happy to be invited. He says, I've never been to one of these before. Really? Well, you've never been to a school play at like one of the schools? No, I haven't. Well, why is it? He says, no one's ever asked me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then our drama instructor asked him. He says, "Yeah, I'd love to come."
That's amazing.
Yeah, you ask him, he'll make an effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good like that.
But I'll bet
he's good.
Never
like that.
been to a Mario Kart race before.
We're gonna make this happen.
It's worth an invitation.
May the 4th be with you. 2025.
Beachfield Raceway. Mario Kart in real life. Actually, I'm sorry. It's not a Mario Kart race. I misspoke.
You have to be careful with the.
It is not a Mario Kart race.
Yeah.
That's a proprietary video game. That is definitely not what we're doing or basing this on. It is.
They're gonna shoot mushrooms out the back.
It's a manufactured cart.
Banana peels.
Yes. Oh no, this is something we want to do last year. We never got around to it though. Is that but having food trucks there and then selling bananas, but you can only buy them and eat them if you agree to throw the peels into the trash.
Yes.
Love it. I love it.
Oh man,
This is good stuff.
no joy, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I love this.
And all the works of creation, God wants us to be very unique and joyful and laugh and participate and
this.
look at it. Nothing like that exists.
No. So Benedict's, we call him our shop steward. He was with us this is 3rd year with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, hey Benedict, we're going to do this race again. We're going to have a new race. We need a better trophy. And he just sort of disappears, right? And a couple days later,
He builds a transformer.
He builds a transformer.
It's awesome.
And this is all just scrap,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I don't know if you can see it here, Father. I don't know. Did you see that the seat is like
It's a file. Yeah.
right, with these Allen keys
Yep.
on the side?
Yep. I can pick out everything.
And he built this little M16 in the back just because it looks awesome. Why not? And why? Because it's awesome. And you want to think that like I like to think like at some point God was creating the world and the angel's like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, it's just cosmos. It's like, why? It's because it's awesome. Right? I think there's something true about that.
I just want that trophy.
I really
wanna
do
take it
believe
home.
that.
Well, I tell you
really
what.
do.
Chopin
And you're
May
gonna
the
have-
4th,
you're gonna have to
Fourth.
win.
and you win the final race.
I'll be in the bishop's car. I'll be throwing banana peels behind him so the bishop can win.
Yeah.
The bishop will be riding shotgun with a paintball gun.
Oh,
He's not
absolutely.
going to do that though, right? Like a pace car, I think the pace car and the golf cart, yeah, but we got to put a paintball gun in his hands, right?
I bet he'd hold one and have a picture taken with it. Maybe I don't know. Hey, you don't know, Scott. You have to just ask. All I have to do is
Never
ask.
Maybe one of these years, what we need to do is we need to. I mean, this is a little ambitious for this year, but maybe what we need to do is, Father, maybe you need to challenge your brother priests.
No.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
a priest
can think,
race.
I can think of a couple who might be up for the challenge.
Name him. Call him out.
Yeah.
Call him out.
We could have a priest class.
Get a text tonight. Like, what were you thinking?
We have fathers and
If I
sons,
ask
and
him.
then we'll have fathers and nuns. How's that?
Nice.
This is gonna blow up. This is only year 2?
Year 2, yeah.
And we're already at big ideas, guys.
The secret is I hope one day that this becomes an intercollegiate sport because how great would that be, right?
ESPN,
Yeah.
the Ocho.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bold strategy, Con.
Yes.
We got to that part of the podcast.
We're there.
We're there.
We made it.
We're
We
done.
made it, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff.
Well,
Good
this is pretty
stuff.
cool. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for
Well,
checking
thank
out the
you.
shop and
Thank you for being on. Father Dom, do you have a challenge?
Oh,
For
my
the
goodness, I didn't even. Yeah, so
Man, you
after
sprung the whole
after
saint thing on me. Is there there's another thing too?
well, there's usually
This is for
there's
Father Dom.
usually like a Father Dom.
He's always surprised, and we do it every time. So I don't know why he keeps me surprised by it.
Is the challenge just remembering? Is that the
Yes, Father Dom is to just to remember to listen to the episode.
Yeah, you put me right on the spot. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask for some help here in determining what the challenge is. Yeah. So after most podcasts, at least when it's you and I, right? We'll do.
You had one
we'll
with
do-
Roy too, yeah.
Yeah, we had one with Roy. Don't remember what that one was though. Yeah. Well,
So are you challenging your listeners? to
it
something?
was find a dojo and then
Yeah, so
that's
every
right.
week
That's right.
we-
Yeah.
We try
Yeah,
to challenge our
thank you.
listeners to do something practical in their day-to-day lives that they can
Yeah,
implement
challenge
today.
today. Particular to what we kind of talked about, relevant. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Challenge for our listeners to grow in.
I would say let's go back to the most basic thing, man. And let's if you're a dude, listen to this. Something is gonna happen in your day to day after you listen to this that you will not like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think quid faciemus, Domine. What are we making here? And I think just try it. Just make yourself available in the moment.
Faciemus Dominum. Yes. Yeah.
Brush up on your Latin as well.
Or,
Yeah.
loose translation.
Yes.
You'd say you do here. So,
I like that.
Let's do that. Let's
Fa-
do that.
Father Dom,
Embrace it.
stamp of approval.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
cool. All right.
Well,
bless you.
Dave, thank you.
Thank you
so much for being on. Thank you for telling us about Harmel Academy of the Trades. And I know, like I said, Father Dom talks so highly of it, and I know you guys keep growing. And so thank you for the work that you're doing. And like you said, not only transforming, like you said, the practical, with the economy, and because it's such a huge need, but more importantly, shaping men.
Yeah, shaping
to be the men that
shaping
they're being called to be. So thank you for the work that you guys are doing.
Check us out too, right? You can check us out online.
Yes.
Visit our
I'll put links to you guys have a YouTube channel,
YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X Twitter,
whatever it is nowadays.
Whatever Elon is changing it to.
All the social stuff. We're not terribly good. We're trying to get better at doing that, but trying to be a little better with our outreach. But yeah, send guys our way. Like we're this is it's November when we're recording this, and we're looking for guys for the next year already. So we'd sure love to have as many guys as we can. So
excellent. Well, I'll put links in the show notes to Harmel and all their social media channels for you guys to check out. But until next time, everyone, go out there and be a saint. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of The Manly Catholic. If you have not already done so, please hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcast to make sure you don't miss a single episode. It will also help grow the show and reach as many men as possible. We truly think this podcast can change families and help men to change the world. Thank you again so much for tuning in, and God bless you.